Make sure that you get to know what it is that is happening, as we also welcome you to tell us what is happening around you. Remember, it is two-way, therefore, so as we tell you what has been captured in the papers, what my team has prepared, it is also really important that you are as well enlightened. If you are on the roads and probably you think there's something that you need to probably let somebody know in whatever direction that you're headed, it is important that we become our brother's keepers, in the sense that if there's traffic on the direction that you're taking, we don't necessarily have to go to Google Maps to know what is happening. Just drop your text, your comment, or your tweet, or your drop a comment on Facebook and tell us what the roads look like, whatever it is that you are. #Morning Cafe at Linda_Alela TV47KE. That is how you get to interact with us. Yes, we get to sample some of your comments, or well, the updates that you will have sent us as we continue with the broadcast. It's my pleasure to always do this with you, as I look forward to a great day. So much is happening in the world of news right here in the country. In the political scene, we look at what is happening. I mean, matters education. We understand very well that we had our students going back to school from yesterday. It was helter-skelter for the parents. It was hectic. A majority of them crying foul and complaining as to the tough economic times and the fact that they were not set. I mean, 10 days to them appeared to be very little. Many of them were caught flat-footed because, well, they did not have the funds, the monies to go ahead and make sure that at least they are able to buy their students or their children's school books, textbooks, exercise books, whichever it is that is required for you to take to school. I mean, many would say that they had to burn midnight oil trying to figure out what they can do so that they can make an extra coin to make sure that their students are not left hanging. And so it is really important that we look into the events of opening or schools reopening, even as we wait for our Form 1 students to join in come August the 2nd. It is so much that is playing out. Really important that we also observe the transition of course, Class 4 students at this point when we're talking about the competency-based curriculum. And lots of fears as to the fact that, the employer says, or the commission says, that a majority of teachers have not taken their jobs, and therefore we're likely to experience lots or a surge of COVID-19 cases in our schools. So it's important that we have our teachers going out there for the job. So we'll be looking at this, what of course the panelists will be making in terms of what will have been captured in regards to matters education. So make sure that you keep it right here, and as well tell us how the scenario was like, even as school reopening hits a day 2. That aside, I mean, we still look at the conversation of the NASA coalition, and you realize that, well, officially Wiper Party said that they have quit NASA coalition. But just how open is this? At a point when Right Honorable Raila Odinga's party, ODM, required or argues that they are now open to share the party funds with the rest of the NASA brothers. What could have informed this? Well, maybe they realized that it is important that they work together, as many would have said. It is important that they work together if at all they would want to root out Deputy President William Ruto, who appears to be the greatest contender so far that has declared his interest for the presidency. This even as matters graft continue, and of course in a case of about 7.5 billion leveled against GACHAGUA, he is out with 12 million cash bail, which is something, of course, that we are bound to discuss, even as the country tightens the noose and, strengthens the fight against graft. So much is happening. We'll be looking at all that, so make sure that you keep it right here as you also tell us your view on these key stories that we'll be touching on. Remember, it is Tuesday, Business with KCK, so we'll be looking at matters business. And today we want to understand what it takes for the people from the global fraternity who would come into Kenya and would want to do their businesses in the country. What would it take? The tax processes that are involved. Really important that we get this knowledge. This even as the people in diaspora also defied the tough times of COVID-19 to remit lots and lots of monies in the country, topping up to the amounts that they have remitted prior or before, which is something that is indeed commendable. So karibu sana. Once again, my name is Linda Alela. And of course, the broadcast begins right away with the news stories that have been prepared by my team and key suspects, that is in the murder of Dutch national that is Herman, and his night guard will remain in police custody for 21 more days to allow police conclude probe into the matter. The two suspects, identified as Timothy Omondi and Mary Nekesa, are said to have committed the offense of 3rd of June 2021. Herman and his night guard, Evans Mukoro, died in what is suspected to be a well-planned murder. Stefano Kaindo with that report.
According to a petition presented before the senior resident magistrate at the Shanzu Law Court, the homicide detectives told the court that the two suspects are still in possession of important details that will help them execute the case before the court, and they need 21 more days to continue with the investigations.
To be placed as Bamburi and Nyali police station respectively. There were several items that were stolen in the process of tracing.
Detectives say some of the important information and proceeds of crime allegedly given by the tycoon's estranged wife, who is also being accused of being involved in the killing of the Dutch national, were used to purchase the suspects' properties. The suspects took the investigators to the scene, where they dissected on the whole purchase process and examined the documents and the receipts used on the purchase. Herman Rowenhorst, together with his guard Evans Mukoro, died in what is being suspected by the prosecutor as a well-plotted murder. The two suspects, according to the police, have committed similar crimes in counties such as Nairobi, Kisumu and Eldoret. The police say they will use the 21 days to traverse all the regions, trying to uncover the crimes and atrocities committed by the two and present a strong case before the court in the next sitting. Reporting for TV 47, I'm Kaindo Stefano.
Well, schools have officially reopened for first term just 10 days after the third term school calendar came to a close. Well, in a rush to get to school on time, parents, pupils and students flocked to bookstores and uniform shops to get the supplies prescribed to them by various learning institutions, as Jessica Nanjendo tells us.
Nairobi Central Business District early Monday morning. Desperate parents thronged textbook and uniform stores in pursuit of learning materials. For the first time since March last year, all classrooms will be filled up as learners start the new academic year. The term is expected to run until 1st October this year. From then, the parents will be expected to warm up for the second term on 11th October and begin the final term on 3rd January. In the last-minute rush, parents have decried high expenditures amid tough economic times brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Raundi ni kumbaya. Juu wazazi hawana pesa, uchumi yameharibika, hakuna kazi, watu hawana pesa.
Mafuta naona kama mafuta kikiwa juu, hata hizi vitu zingine sote zinapanda. Kwa hivyo serikali ikiweza kutujaribia hata ni mafuta irudi chini kidogo, tunaweza shukuru.
Hii ni ile lot ilifanya wakati wa pandemic. Sasa wamefanya wakati wa pandemic, sasa na wazazi nao wanashughulika wakati wa pandemic. Maisha imekuwa at least ngumu.
Elsewhere in the Lake region, 95% of pupils have reported back to school in line with the new school calendar, with parents appealing to the government to lift the 7 p.m. curfew.
And the turnout is good. Out of the 441 that we had last term, today we are 426.
Sahi, wakati walianza kufunga tulikuwa kwa 28.something%, lakini sahi tumerudi kwa 8.something%. Hiyo inamaanisha inarudi chini.
In Mombasa, human rights lobby group have raised concern over the high cost of education, saying that the government must further subsidize learning expenses for the common mwananchi to afford it.
As a civil society, we have been documenting, and very recently we have confirmed that about 70% of our community members are not able to meet the back-to-school requirements that have been set forward for their children.
Katiba yetu inatoa haki za kiuchumi, haki za elimu, haki za kufanya kazi na haki nyingine nyingi ambazo tulikubaliana katika katiba ya mwaka 2010. lakini mambo yalivyo sasa ni kuwa hatuwezi kufikia haki hizi kwa sababu ya matatizo mbalimbali.
Jessica Nanjendo, TV47.
Still on matters education, Kenya Secondary School Heads Association now says fees has to be paid if activities in schools are to run smoothly. Meanwhile, controlling the spread of COVID-19 in schools was cited as the #1 challenge in a survey conducted by the Teacher Service Commission, even as all learners prepare to start their term 1 from this week to date. Over 70 teachers have succumbed to the virus, as Sharon Baranga reports.
In the next 2 weeks, learners, teachers and parents will be up and about as they prepare for schools opening for Term 1 2021. And so the Teacher Service Commission did a survey on teachers' preparedness ahead of schools reopening. The #1 challenge recorded was how to keep COVID-19 at bay, this being the first time all learners will be reporting to learning institutions since schools were closed indefinitely in March 2020 after the first case of COVID-19 was reported in the country.
We have so far lost 73 teachers to the virus since it was first reported in the country. And thanks to our full medical insurance cover, 454 teachers have fully recovered from the virus.
Another issue of concern was payment of school fees.
Principals and parents are not at war, but fees must be paid. This one we should not pretend, because you send children in schools. These children must be fended for. Those in boarding schools, we must feed them. Yes, and with this one we totally agree. The schools, the parents needed to be cushioned. The question is, who cushions the school?
Further, I want to direct that all heads of school stick to the stipulated school fees. Mr. Idimuli, please, you will help us here, and Nzioka, where there are levies. The TSC is investigating a few allegations that have been handed over to us by the Ministry of Education that some teachers are not complying with government directive on fees. Action will be taken on those few if they are found culpable.
On the other hand, teachers have been urged to go for vaccination against COVID-19. Currently, 158,720 teachers have received the first dose. 89,611 teachers are fully vaccinated so far.
Please, dear teachers, go and take that jab.
It is the first time schools are opening for first term with all learners present. With grade 5 and Form 1 learners in schools, it is expected that their population will exert pressure on the school's facilities as well as management of COVID-19.
Social distancing is going to be a problem. And this we cannot cheat ourselves. And if we have to maintain that social distance as it has been stipulated by the Ministry of Education, then a lot of funding will be required.
Over 5,000 teachers took part in the survey. Other challenges that they pointed out are the rush to cover the syllabus, congestion and overstretched infrastructure, increased workload on teachers, low payment of school fees, early pregnancies, among others. But teachers say they are ready to receive their learners. All learners are expected to report to their schools this week. Form 1s will be joining their respective schools from 2nd of August. Sharon Baranga, TV47.
Well, thank you, Sharon, for that. And we definitely keep following up on the events of school reopening to keep you posted. Away from that, to matters COVID-19, the numbers of COVID-19 infections in Kiambu County have been rising in the last few weeks after the recent KIAMBU and Muguga by-elections. The county government of Kiambu has closed down TYCOON Hospital for other patients apart from patients with COVID-19, as Paul Kirobi tells us.
Just days after the KIAMBU and Muguga by-elections, the number of COVID-19 cases are up again in Kiambu County. As a result, the county government of Kiambu has closed TYCOON Hospital, which has been set as an isolation center in the county. Only COVID-19 cases will be attended to at the facility. In the last 10 days, the county of Kiambu has recorded more than 400 cases of COVID-19. Sources indicate that even the number of daily deaths are high at the facility. The county government says it is using at least 3 tons of oxygen on a daily basis.
Not be able to contain the situation unless we go back to the containment measures that we have been going through. And whereas we as the county will continue to be ready to cope with the cases, despite the fact that they are increasing.
The COVID-19 committee at the county is now considering tougher measures to avoid a further spread of the virus.
We will be consulting with the county commissioner and the county commander so that we can enforce some of the requirements that are required because we cannot continue with that situation as it is.
Meanwhile, the country has recorded 550 cases from a sample size of 4,085 tested in the last 24 hours. The positivity rate is now at 13.5%. Paul Kirobi, TV47, Nairobi.
To politics, Wiper Party leader has started, or Wiper Party actually has started the process of ditching the NASA coalition. This after the party's National Executive Committee gave the party's top race a green light to start preparations to exit NASA and seek new alliances ahead of next year's general election. But as Musa Salah reports, Moses Wetangula Ford Kenya, or Wetangula's Ford Kenya, and Musalia Mudavadi's ANC are yet to submit their documents warranting their exit from NASA.
Following Monday's 3-hour-long National Executive Council meeting, Kalonzo Musyoka's Wiper Party has walked out of its 4-year marriage with NASA, announcing the party's exit from their 2017 political vehicle that brought together Wiper, ODM, ANC and Ford Kenya. Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka invited ODM leader Raila Odinga to join the new alliance, which the flag-bearer equation still remains a mystery.
As you can see, we're actually not divorcing our partners. Hopefully, we welcome our friends in ODM. We are not killing NASA and killing ODM at the same time. This party has decided we are not deputizing anybody. We are working with or without ODM.
NASA affiliate parties have accused ODM of bullying and defrauding them of their coalition funds. In a letter seen by TV47, Odinga says ODM is ready to share the NASA goodies, this coming a few days after meeting with Kalonzo.
And I always knew there were extremists in ODM who are misleading Raila. When we sat and I showed him, and by the way, I made it very clear, these were the only discussions I had with Raila on the matter of political parties funding. And he agrees with me because he hadn't seen the salient clauses to which he affixed his signature.
But even as Wiper promises to file its exit with the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties, the Registrar of Political Parties maintains that Ford Kenya and ANC, which have also announced their exit from NASA, are yet to submit their documents.
Maybe other friends are not taking the decisions. We will be writing, we are instructing. In fact, the executive director was taken over to now write to the registrar of political parties of our decision.
Today's Wiper NEC meeting stamps the death of the National Super Alliance as Wiper joins Ford Kenya, ANC and KANU in the newly formed One Kenya Alliance, despite confirmations by the Registrar of Political Parties that none of the parties have submitted the legal documents to initiate their exit from NASA. Musa Salah, TV47, Nairobi.
Thanks, Musa, for that. It forms the basis of our conversation this morning. But before we get to that, important that we look at more in the world of news. And Madeira Member of Parliament, Rigathi Gachagua, was Monday presented before the anti-corruption court in Milimani, where he maintained he is innocent, denying all 6 counts of corruption, money laundering, conflict of interest, and acquiring proceeds of crime. GACHAGUA was released on a 12 million cash bail of 25 million shillings bond. And as Mwangi Minor reports, members of parliament allied to Deputy President William Ruto have criticized his arrest, saying he is being prosecuted or persecuted for supporting the Deputy President.
Monday morning, and Mathera Member of Parliament Rigathi Gachagua was presented before Chief Magistrate Lawrence Mugambi at the Milimani Anti-Corruption Court to answer charges of corruption, money laundering, conflict of interest, and acquiring proceeds of crimes. Rigathi denied all the 6 charges that dates back to the year 2013. In the first count, Rigathi, alongside 9 others who were not before court, were charged with conspiracy to defraud the county government of Nyeri 27 million shillings. In the second count, Rigathi and other co-accused are said to have fraudulently acquired public property by embezzling 6 million Kenya shillings from the county government of Nyeri on 29th of December 2014. The 6 million was payment for purported supply of dialysis machines at the Nyeri Provincial General Hospital. In the third count, Rigathi was accused of having an intent to dispose 104 million Kenya shillings received from the Bungoma County government. The offence is alleged to have taken place between January 2015 and June 2019. On the fourth count, Rigathi was charged with intent to dispose 7 million Kenya shillings received from the Kwale County government and conceal movement of the said monies. The offence is alleged to have taken place between September 2015 and September 2016. Rigathi is also accused of fraudulently acquiring 7 billion shillings that were deposited to 3 accounts in his name at Rafiki Microfinance Bank between the year 2013 and 2020. The Mathera lawmaker was also charged with conflict of interest, where a close business associate was granted a tender to construct Jathaine Primary School funded by the Mathera Constituency Development Funds. The counsel representing Gachagua pleaded with the court to have him released on a free bond as his constitutional rights were trampled on during the Friday arrest. The counsel was, however, not contented with the 12 million cash bail slapped on Gachagua, terming it unreasonably high.
There should be no relationship with the figures of which you are alleged to be accused of, with the figure that bond terms is given. Bond is only supposed to secure attendance in court. It's not supposed to be a punishment for an alleged crime, and that is the challenge that we are having now.
It is targeted to punish. These figures are just being thrown like 7 billion in count number 5, so that then the accused person is faced with an unreasonable amount for bail.
We want to urge the courts going forward to ensure that they adhere to the key tenets of bail's applications, which is only to secure the attendance of an accused person.
It's been 2 years since he recorded the statement, but even to date, in court, what is needed to be provided for to the defense wasn't given, because they still require 14 days. And I can tell you, you can even write it. After 14 days, they'll again request for another 21 days or so to provide the witness statement. So all this thing is simply a waste of time and perhaps to humiliate Gachagua.
Tanga MPs claim Gachagua is being persecuted for supporting the deputy president and vowed not to be cowed by threats, intimidations, and arbitrary arrests.
Hii maneno yote tumekuwa tunaielewa, na hii maneno yote ya Rigathi Gachagua ni kama ile nilikuwa nayo, kama ile Moses Kuria alikuwa nayo, kama ile almost all the members of our team wamekuwa nayo. Ukionekana na deputy president, haraka unaanza kuchukuzwa.
With time will vindicate Honorable Gachagua when the prosecution in court starts, and he will be able to prove that this is nothing other than political persecution.
The legislators have also sounded a warning to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations against being used by the government to settle personal scores based on malice and witch hunt. Following Mathera MP's Rigathi Gachagua's release on a 12 million cash bail, MPs affiliated to Deputy President William Ruto opined that tribulations facing Gachagua are connected to his political inclination and not necessarily the fight against corruption. They opined that the bail that he has been admitted to is unnecessarily too high. The case will come up for mentioning on 9th of August next month. Mwangi Maina, TV 47 from the Milimani Law Court, Nairobi.
It's only fair that we pick it up from that. Thank you, Mwangi Minor. And now I loop in my guests this morning, Anthony Konya, who's a member of County Assembly, Kiambu Township. It's been a minute, Mahesh. How have you been?
I've been well, and you?
I'm good.
Nice to see you.
Thank you. It's good to see you. It's as if you're smiling and happy because of Kiamba, while Solomon, on the other hand...
A good friend here is weeping.
Solomon Kodia, political analyst, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
You still are nursing the injuries?
No, there are no injuries.
There are no injuries?
It was a big win.
It was a big win?
Yes.
And in 3 weeks, you managed to take your 50%. That's what they say. And to one who's probably never been on set, and I'm glad to have him. He is actually looking at me. You know, he's a journalist. Deep inside, he is a journalist.
True.
And so probably looking at me and trying to gauge what it is that I'm doing, awarding me some marks. Why did you have to quit journalism just because of the locks, and then you lost the locks eventually?
You know, I was young then.
Okay.
And at least for me, I believe in not staying in one place for many years, because somebody told me if you stay in a working place for about 5 or 6 years without any promotion or without advancing, you're just a seat, a chair, a table when they're doing the math.
I mean, in this time and age,
you have to at least make sure that you move from one place to another, so that you can give other people some space to come and exercise or do what you're doing.
In a place where we're struggling because of lack of employment, like job opportunities.
Because you're supposed to gain experience and move on, just like in school. You get educated.
I wish it was that easy to move on in the country. Is it?
He's inviting you into politics.
That's why I went to politics, so that I can try and make people understand that.
Karungo Wadhangwa, it's quite a tongue twister, I can tell you.
Yeah.
Organizing Secretary TSP, wearing the rocking the scarf of the party.
Yes.
What are you bringing on board?
The Service Party is the new party in Kenya. It's a new child in the neighborhood. And for us, we are calling ourselves a grassroots democratic party.
All right.
Meaning that we are the voice that has always been yearned for by the people of Kenya, because we refuse to believe that impactful politics can only be a reserve of big parties. And the reason why we are doing this is because whether you're a political party with one MP, one MCA, or one senator, there's always respect. And I can give you this example at the Senate today. Who is the leader of majority at the Senate? It is KANU.
Right.
KANU has only 3 senators, 2 elected and 1 nominated.
But KANU has quite some grip in the country.
No, not really.
Right.
It's not about the grip, it's about the representation in the houses.
Okay.
So Jubilee Party with 34 senators could not find one.
Is it so? Is it that they did not find one? You should come in defense of Jubilee Party. I don't think it was the fact
they couldn't find one.
Is it so? It was more like an awarding of, like, Kanu, thank you for working with us. Was it not that?
One, first it's began by having one who became rogue.
Yes.
And had to go.
Yes.
So he's forgetting that it was Kipchumba Murkomen who was the leader of majority.
Yeah.
But he wanted to have his cake and eat it at the same time. Then KANU signed